The first time I saw her, the air was burning. Not with fire, but with the metallic sting of shattered circuits and the ozone bite of ruptured plasma cells. The battlefield stretched for kilometers across the scarred plateau of Orion 6, once a terraforming outpost, now nothing more than a graveyard of wrecked machines and fallen soldiers. I was one of the last survivors of the 23rd Human Expeditionary Battalion, a ragged engineer with no heavy weapons, no squad left, just a datapad strapped to my wrist and a stubborn will to keep breathing. That's when I saw the glow. Amid the jagged ruins, a silhouette rose, tall and commanding. Her armor was sleek, curved like liquid metal, but right now it was blazing with a red luminescence that pulsed like a heartbeat. It wasn't the crimson glow of rage or some mindless weapon system charging. It was warning light. She turned, visor reflecting shards of broken starlight, and her voice cut through the static-filled wind. "Stay away." It wasn't a threat. It was caution. But I didn't heed. Because something about her stance, the tremor in her voice, told me that she was fighting not me, but something inside herself. And I had to know what it was. Middle, the forbidden core. Her name, I would later learn, was Kaelin Vera, an elite guardian of the Xytherion Dominion, a race humanity had been at war with for 12 long years. To call her my enemy would have been the simplest truth, but the battlefield doesn't allow for simple truths. She staggered as I drew closer, and for a moment I thought she might fall. The glowing red armor hissed, vents opening and closing like some living organism gasping for breath. "Your systems are failing," I said without thinking, my engineer's instincts overriding all common sense. Her helmet turned sharply toward me, and I braced for the flash of plasma fire. Instead, her words came harsh, clipped, as if forced through clenched teeth. "It's not failing. It's containing." That word, containing, lodged itself in my mind like shrapnel. I took another step. She flinched. "You don't understand, human," she growled, armor sparking red with each syllable. "This suit isn't protecting me from you. It's protecting you from me." A blast ripped the ground nearby, a delayed detonation from buried munitions. Dust rose around us in choking waves. Through it, I saw her collapse to one knee, clutching her armored chest as though something inside clawed at her ribs. Without hesitation, I crossed the distance. I should have run, should have hidden, but instead my hands pressed against her armor, feeling the heat searing even through my gloves. Her head jerked up, visor reflecting my face. "You idiot," she hissed. "If the containment fails, you'll be the first to burn." That was when I noticed the fractures running along her armor's chest plate, glowing brighter with every passing second. I realized then, this wasn't ordinary battle damage. Something alive was inside her. The core within. We found shelter in the hollowed-out husk of a derelict transport skimmer. I worked by the dim light of my wrist pad while she sat against the wall, her breathing harsh, armor still glowing like molten stone. Bit by bit, her story came out, torn from her in fragments between spasms of pain. The Xytherion weren't just armored warriors. Their greatest elites carried within them a shard of the ether core, a living fragment of the starforge that birthed their species. That core gave them strength far beyond natural limits. But it came at a price. The core was alive. It whispered, hungered. If uncontained, it consumed its host in flames, and anything near them as well. Her armor, then, wasn't just protection. It was a prison, a suppressor, a fragile wall between Kaelin Vera and the inferno inside her. "Why tell me this?" I asked quietly, hands still working to reroute the failing coolant systems of her suit. "Because," she said, voice breaking, "I can't hold it back much longer. And when it takes me, you'll have to decide whether to end me." Froze. For the first time since the war began, I looked at my so-called enemy and saw not a monster, not an alien invader, but a soldier, broken, exhausted, terrified of herself. "I'm not here to end you," I said finally. "I'm here to keep you alive." Her visor tilted just slightly. I thought, or hoped, I saw her eyes soften behind it. The pursuers. We didn't have long. Drones swept the plateau, both human and Xytherion, scavengers searching for survivors or stragglers. The glow of Kaelin's armor was a beacon neither side could ignore. "We can't stay here," she muttered, struggling to rise. "You can't even stand," I shot back. Her hand shot out, grabbing my collar, dragging me close with terrifying strength even in her weakened state. "You don't understand, human. If your kind finds me, they'll dissect me. If mine find me, they'll execute me. Either way, this ends with fire." I met her glare evenly. "Not if we run." And so we did. Through shattered valleys and across the skeletal remains of ruined stations, we moved. She stumbled more than once, and each time I caught her, the heat of her armor burning my palms raw. More than once, I thought about leaving her. It would have been the easy choice. But each time, I remembered the tremor in her voice when she first said, "Stay away." And I couldn't. Because she wasn't asking me to stay away from her. She was asking me to stay away from her pain. And I refused. Breaking point. 3 nights later, under the fractured sky of Orion 6, the inevitable happened. Her armor alarms screamed in a rising chorus, the glow so intense it painted the rocks crimson. She fell to the ground, convulsing, claws of light tearing through the seams of her armor. "It's happening," she gasped. "The core, it's breaking loose." I knelt beside her, hands flying across my wrist pad, trying desperately to reroute power, to reinforce failing containment fields. Sparks flew. Circuits burned. Nothing was enough. Her visor retracted, revealing her face at last. Sharp, beautiful, inhuman yet so achingly fragile. Sweat gleamed across her brow, and her eyes, burning violet, locked onto mine. "You should have left me," she whispered. "No," I said, gripping her shoulders. "I'll never leave." And then it happened. Her scream tore through the night as the armor split, red fire erupting outward. I threw myself over her, shielding her with my body as the inferno surged. Heat licked my skin, searing, unbearable, and yet it didn't consume me. When I opened my eyes, I saw her kneeling, the flames swirling around her like a living cloak. The core had emerged, a sphere of blazing red energy pulsing in her chest, tethered to her heart. She looked at me in horror. "Why aren't you dead?" I didn't have an answer. But I knew the truth. The core had recognized me. Not as prey, not as fuel, but as something else. And in that moment, Kaelin Vera wasn't my enemy. She was my ally, ending the choice of fire. The plateau erupted with light as both armies closed in, drawn by the core's awakening. Human dropships thundered overhead, while Xytherion skimmers sliced through the dust storms below. We were trapped. Kaelin rose, fire streaming from her armor, core blazing like a second sun. "This is the end," she said, voice steady now, almost calm. "If I release it, I can incinerate them all. But you'll die too." I stood beside her. "Then we find another way." She turned, violet eyes wide. "There is no other way."